And I think that's something that belongs to youth, not only the capacity to dream, but to have other people share your dreams to some extent. Dare to dream, something will come of it. If you don't dream about something, it's not going to happen.
안녕하세요 구독자 여러분, 대한민국 아동총회 14기 부의장 한성혁입니다.
안녕하세요. 대한민국 아동총회 제13기 의장 박찬미입니다.
오늘 인터뷰는 아동권리의 대가를 모시고 진행해 보려고 하는데요. 유엔아동권리위원회 필립 자페 부위원장님 모셔봤습니다. Professor, nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
먼저 영상으로 만나게 될 한국 아동들을 위해 간단히 자기소개를 부탁드리려고 합니다. 교수님의 경력과 현재 하고 계신 활동에 대해서 말씀해 주실 수 있으실까요?
Yes, of course. So my name is Philip Jaffe. I'm a father of 2 children, adolescents, and I live in Switzerland. And I spent my career as a professor at the university, as a clinical and forensic psychologist, mostly teaching, but also working with children who have mental health issues and who are victims of violence in the court system. Originally, I worked with people who perpetrated violence, who committed violent crimes. And I got interested in children's rights because I did research on child sexual abuse. And it seemed very obvious to me that we needed to have an understanding of the legal aspects of child sexual abuse to be more effective in preventing it happening, and so that's how I got into children's rights.
네, 교수님 감사합니다. 교수님께서 정말 지금까지 걸어오신 길을 짧게 말씀해 주셨는데 아동 권리라는 것이 참 여러 분야와 연관되어 있다는 점을 다시 한번 느낄 수 있었던 것 같습니다. 그리고 저도 석사과정 학생으로서 사실 이렇게까지 대가 교수님과 함께하는 것이 굉장히 감개무량하고 또 긴장되는데요. 교수님께 더 깊은 이야기 한번 들어보겠습니다. 대한민국 아동총회는 아동들이 자신의 삶과 권리에 대해 직접 이야기하고 또 정책을 제안하는 아동 참여 프로그램입니다. 아동총회의 활동을 지금까지 20년이 넘게 지속한 결과 한국 사회에서 아동 권리에 대한 사회적 인식이 점점 개선이 되고 있고요. 아동을 권리의 주체로 존중하는 것이 더욱더 중요해지고 있습니다. 이러한 변화 속에서 앞으로 대한민국 아동총회는 어떤 역할을 해야 할지 그리고 또 어떤 과제를 안고 나아가야 할지 교수님께 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
So that's a very big question, and first of all, congratulations for 21 years. That's quite a long time, and I'm sure you've seen the situation evolve, and I'd say in 20 years you've probably seen it evolve quite a bit, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of work left to do. And you mentioned that children have been objects of protection, and in many circles still today that's the prevailing view. Children are vulnerable, adults have to take care of them, provide for them, and yes, that's important. But there's insufficient recognition that children are rights holders, but even more than that, they have a right to have their views taken into account, to change the surrounding community in which they evolve. So children should have a greater role in shaping the lives and society in which they are. And parliaments and child councils and youth councils is one avenue for that. And I'm not going to speak about the situation in Korea because you are the specialist, but in many countries, these parliaments are a little bit tokenistic. You bring children together, they have a good time, they do some serious work, they go home and we forget what they talked about. That has been evolving slowly, but what we'd really like to reach is for children to have some power in making decisions that have significant impact on issues that concern them. Being able to change policy on some issues that they care about. They should have some say over the budget of a community, of a municipality, of a city, and maybe even a country. Maybe when new laws are decided, they should be consulted and they could object to some of these new laws if they feel it goes against their interests. So there are a whole range of issues where these parliaments could be very, very influential and basically give children something they don't have, which is political power and political representation. So again, you have to give power and you have to give them budgets and you have to give them information on how to change things. So your parliament is incredibly important and I hope it will evolve, which I think should become the norm for all young people in every country.
네, 교수님께서 정말 많은 이야기를 해주셔서 저희도 귀담아 듣고 또 어떤 부분들은 저희가 꼭 챙겨서 대한민국 아동청에 반영해야 할 것 같습니다. 네, 다음 질문은 또 재밌는 질문인데요. 교수님께서는 유엔아동권리위원회 위원으로서 여러 나라의 아동권리 상황을 살펴보셨습니다. 국제적 관점에서 한국의 아동권리 상황은 어떻게 생각하시는지, 또 앞으로 한국 사회가 더욱 주목해야 할 과제가 있다면 어떤 것으로 생각하시는지 여쭤보겠습니다.
So I have to be a little bit diplomatic because I'm in Korea and I would like to stay a few more weeks. But let me put it very honestly. I think Korea is a good enough student of children's rights. There are some countries that do better things than Korea, but not very many. And I think that you can classify Korea in a group of countries that is moving up and moving to better things. There are countries that are going backwards. But what is wonderful about your country is that you have a democratic society, you have a strong civil society, you have youth that is engaged, you have courageous youth, and you also have issues that you need to solve. So that mix makes it possible for confrontation of ideas, goals to achieve change, and issues to work on. My only criticism, if I may, of Korea is that you have some significant issues that you need to deal with for young people and children, and you're not working hard enough and fast enough and putting the resources that are needed into solving these issues. Thinking of mental health, education, criminal justice, refugees, and I could go on with a long list. But the point I also want to make is, of course, it's easy to blame adults and government, and probably they have the responsibility for not doing more. But I also want to give advice to the youth. You have to be maybe a bit more rebellious. I'm not saying you have to create a revolution, but you have to not be afraid to confront the older people, because I think times are changing and there's increasingly the capacity to listen to what young people have to say. And you have to find the strong voices, but also the strategic voices to make things change. So it's a big job, but I think Korea is on the right path. And I look forward to maybe reviewing your country in the future as well.
저희가 현재 역대 아동총회 참가자들을 연결하는 알럼나이 네트워크를 구상하고 있는데요. 교수님께서는 아동 권리 분야에서 의미 있는 알럼나이 네트워크가 어떤 모습이어야 한다고 생각하시는지, 그리고 또 이런 네트워크가 지속적으로 발전하기 위해서는 무엇이 필요하다고 보시는지 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I think that's a really great idea because the last thing you want to lose is experience from people who have navigated through your systems and have gone on and who remain friends of what you've been working on and who still have their heart and their emotions in representing young people and children. So you don't want to lose that. Also, we should not work in silos. Of course, the voices of children count most, but many adults want to help you. They really do. They want to have some involvement, and if you can keep them on board, because we've all been children, but you know we sort of forget, and we become a little bit idiotic as we grow older. But the point is that we also would like to contribute, many of us, to improving what you're going through and what you're dealing with. So alumni is really nice because it's not only the ones that have been part of the system, but they can also be friends of your system. What's important is to make them feel they can make a difference and really contribute, not just on a list of paper, some names. You have to have some events that they can contribute to financially, or even thematically. And never discount the fact that some of your alumni will have important positions. And you need lobbying power, and they need to feel useful. So it's a good combination.
교수님께서 말씀해 주신 대로 저희가 알럼나이를 열심히 만들어 보려고 하는데요. 혹시 지금 보고 있는 아동총회 참여했던 친구들도 같이 참여해 줄 거죠? 저희가 열심히 노력해서 만들어 보겠습니다. 다음 질문으로 넘어가 보도록 하겠습니다. 다음 질문은 조금 어려운 질문일 수도 있을 것 같은데요. 때로는 사회가 아동의 실질적인 권리보다 정책의 성과나 수치, 제도의 단기적인 성공에 더 집중하기도 합니다. 이런 상황에서 NGO는 어떤 역할을 해야 한다고 생각하시는지 여쭤보겠습니다.
So NGOs have a very important role to play in everything that's related to the promotion and defense of children's rights, and there are some functions that they have to perform, like fundraising and representation. Civil society and NGOs are the best avenue to hold power and government feet to the fire. They have to have a role to point out what the issues are and make it seem like it's very necessary to act and improve situations. So it's incumbent on not only NGOs to think long-term, but to be able to bring fury and indignation and emotion to debates that are much more than just the statistics, much more than just laws. There has to be a buy-in from an emotional side to make things evolve. With NGOs, there should also be what we call in our field children human rights defenders or human rights defenders. Those are the people who put all their energy into caring about some issues, sometimes at their own expense, sometimes at their own financial expense, but also taking risks personally to be thorns in the side of government and or power. And I think there's a natural alliance there between NGOs and some of these young people who fight for climate change or fight against child abuse or on behalf of children who are stuck in migration. And sometimes they even participate in NGOs. So again, there's a constellation of forces that have to coordinate and be together to not become complacent, not to become passive, to push, to move forward, to be courageous, because you're doing it for not only yourselves, but all the children and young people that come after you.
이제 좀 가벼운 질문으로 가보려고 하는데요. 한때 유행했던 밸런스 게임을 우리 스위스에서 오신 필립 교수님께도 한번 질문 드려보려고 합니다. 교수님께서 전 세계 아동에게 선물을 준다면 무엇을 선택하시겠습니까? 모든 아동에게 하루 동안 원하는 놀이를 마음껏 즐길 수 있는 마법 티켓 주기 대 모든 아동에게 하루 동안 어른들이 자신의 말을 끝까지 경청하게 만드는 마법 마이크 주기입니다.
So I would choose magic mics, the ones that really make very loud noises in the ears of adults and even makes them tremble with the power of children's voices.
네, 교수님의 이야기를 들으면서 아동의 목소리가 얼마나 중요한지를 들을 수 있었던 것 같습니다. 네, 저희 인터뷰 이제 마지막으로 흘러가고 있는데요. 마지막으로 현재 대한민국 아동총회에 참여하고 있는 아동들과 또 과거 아동총회에 참여하여 이제는 성인이 된 분들에게 전하고 싶은 메시지가 있으시다면 부탁드립니다.
So you have a lot of power, you have a lot of good ideas and probably a lot of dreams. One of the godfather of children's rights was a Polish pediatrician called Janusz Korczak, and I often cite him because he said something that's very powerful. He said, "Dare to dream, something will come of it." If you don't dream about something, it's not going to happen. Doesn't mean that if you dream about it, it will happen, but it's a first step. And I think that's something that belongs to youth, not only the capacity to dream, but to have other people share your dreams to some extent. And that's where you're very persuasive. And you know, earlier you were asking me some of the strong moments in my career in the field of children's rights. And I can say this with a lot of humility. Some of the most inspiring moments was meeting young people and children who were animated by strong convictions, had strong hopes, were confronting challenging situations, were caring about others, were trying to make a difference in their world, and were putting their heart and energy into being positive forces in society. And you know, we have so many things to worry about, so many issues that are concerning to our societies. Thank goodness that there are so many young people and children who still feel strongly about making a difference. And thank you to both of you and all your colleagues for everything you put into it.
네, 교수님 오늘 함께 해주셔서 진심으로 감사합니다. 교수님께서 이렇게 함께 아동 권리에 대한 이야기를 나눠주신 덕분에 저희도 아동 권리와 아동 참여에 대해서 정말 많이 배우고 또 많이 생각할 수 있는 계기가 되었던 것 같습니다. 네, 그래서 이렇게 해서 우리 인터뷰가 끝이 났죠.
첫 인터뷰부터 아동권리 대가를 모셔서 앞으로 인터뷰도 참 기대되고요. 이로써 인터뷰는 끝이 나고 다음 인터뷰는 또 어떤 분을 모실지 댓글로 알려주시면 저희가 직접 그분을 찾아뵙고 인터뷰 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 그럼 다음 시간에 만나보도록 하겠습니다.
안녕.